Morning, this is Brian. I'm at the Maple Springs Trailhead in Silverado Canyon. I have a pretty ambitious goal today, and of course I could always adjust it if necessary, but I'm planning on trying to go all the way to Santiago Peak, just like I did in January of last year from here, the Maple Springs Trailhead. But I went up directly up Maple Springs Road to do it, up to Maple Springs and then up to Majesca and Santiago. This time, however, my goal's a little loftier. I'm planning on going to the Silverado motorway, or Silverado switchbacks, which will branch off to our left in a short while. I'm wearing boots today. You guys can't really see too well in the video. It's a really good chance that I'm going to come across some snow, especially towards Santiago and Majesca peaks. I'm planning on going all the way to Santiago. Whether I actually make it depends on how things go, but I'm planning on trying to go for it. I could possibly get rained on again like I did on the Mount Wilson hike I did 1 week ago. So I had to replace my camera. The old one I think still works, but I never even bothered to upload the videos that I took yet. So I'll see how that goes. It's very muddy because it's been raining a lot. So this is the Silverado motorway. You're not going to see much in this video because I'm basically hiking in the dark to start my day. I have a fairly heavy pack today, but kind of scaled back a little bit, like on excess water, because I almost never seem to go through it all on my hikes. But last hike I did on Mount Wilson, I was hoping to see snow on Mount Wilson. There sure was snow on there. There was snow on Mount Wilson's summit, but it was all slushy because it was raining and drizzling, and temperatures around 38 to 45 degrees. So it was slushy and slippery at times. Fortunately, I couldn't get good video of that, nor good photographs of it, because my other camera got wet. It's drizzling right now, so I'm just going to try to be careful today. This is a new camera, same brand. It's a Kodak Pix Pro, but I should be getting natural daylight. Well, I'm starting to right now, actually. Probably won't need the headlamp for more than maybe 20 minutes or so, but I'm so used to hiking this section in the dark, whether I'm going up or coming back down. This area, I'm usually hiking it in pretty dark conditions. So I'm going to go head up. If all goes according to plan, I could be hitting up Bedford Peak, Bald Peak, and a few unnamed peaks along Main Divide, which I'll point out if I make it. And then potentially going all the way to Santiago. It'll be my 5th time summiting Santiago Peak. So this should be interesting. I'm ready to layer it up because temperatures on Santiago might not get above freezing today. And could possibly have some snow showers depending on what's going on, but I'm just about ready soon to probably turn off the headlamps. The Silverado motorway joins the main divide crest at about 3,700 feet, and that's a short walk along main divide to get to Bedford. I've been on Bedford before, but my camera I had before then malfunctioned. Today is Sunday, February 10th, 2019, and I am now climbing up the rigorous Silverado switchbacks. I'll check in when there's more natural light. You can see the scenery of these mountains. Till then, I'm going to sign off and continue hiking upward. Not much to see in my little white spot with my headlamp. Well, got a lot more daylight right now. You can see down towards Silverado Canyon's bottom, all the houses and stuff. Maple Springs Trailhead is just a little bit off that way. Let's come a little ways up the switchbacks. This is definitely a good workout to start the day. I mean, I've been up these a few times. It's always a pretty steep little climb. This area is pretty sparse in vegetation because it had burned at least a decade ago, I believe. I want to say 2006 or 2007 maybe. I think it was part of the Silverado fire. That's why up here it's a little more barren. And also because this is more of a south-facing exposure, so that could also account for the paucity of shrubs, or at least large woody shrubs you would find in the chaparral. This is more like coastal sage scrub. Nice views. That's looking over towards the crest. I believe that's Bald Peak right there, I believe. Because I can see the power lines that go over the ridge. And when you're heading south on Main Divide and you pass the power lines, Bald Peak is your next summit. And it'll be off to your left, up a fire break. There's a fire break that goes up it from the north, and then there's one that goes down from the summit south, rejoining Main Divide, as is the case with a lot of the peaks. And a lot of these peaks are, they're really small in prominence, but they do require some steep fire break walking, so they add up. The efforts add up if you do a bunch of them. And a lot of peaks that are unnamed along the same route. In fact, a lot of people mistake the peaks south of it, especially the higher one, which is a little over 4,200 feet, thinking that's Bald Peak. But Bald Peak has a little reference marker up there that says bald on the benchmark, and it's starting to sprinkle again. Try not to get this camera all damaged, so So I'm going to keep hiking my way up, and I'll update you probably at the top of the switchbacks. Finally got a little break in the drizzle and light shower activity. Very nice, fresh, refreshing breeze. It's nice and cool up here. Still feel little sprinkles here and there, but I could tell looking over towards this side of Silverado, you can still see that misty part right there. That means it's still raining up there. See, those are the clouds. That's probably the drizzle or mist, the light rain falling. It's a little fuzzier, less defined than the clouds, but I was coming out of a nice light shower. That's why the poncho's on. Yeah. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a break. Maybe, hopefully long enough to where maybe I could put the poncho away for a little while. I started layering up, but as I started hiking up these switchbacks, it started getting hot, so I had to take the jacket off and I had it wrapped around my neck underneath my poncho, and also have my backpack under my poncho, unlike when I hiked Mount Wilson. So I'm not trying to get everything soaked this time, especially if it rains later. But still going up, still got a little ways to go up, and you see the crest. Looks like the clouds are a little more fragmented at the crest. Yeah, it's just a few little raindrops falling right now. So it's just like really tiny little drizzly drops, just kind of flying through the air. Hopefully it won't be wet the whole time. I did Mount Wilson. It rained. I mean, not super heavy. I mean, I had a couple of moderate bursts, but it was drizzly, light showers, about 75% of the time. And top of Mount Wilson, it was light rain over the snow that was up there, and it was just so slushy. This time, put boots on. So hopefully I can keep my feet dry. Last time I came home, I was soaked from head to toe despite having the poncho on. But it was a pretty nice climb. It's definitely a good workout. Still gotta go over those hills over there towards Bedford Peak. I've still got a bit of a ways before I even get to my first stop of the day. Probably take a break at the Bedford bench, a little bench on top of the peak. I'll probably just maybe get a sip of water, maybe down a quick snack. But, I mean, this isn't excruciatingly steep, but definitely give you a good workout. But it's definitely a beautiful morning. See all the drizzle drops flying around in the breeze. But I'm gonna keep my way up. I'll see as I get closer to the main divide junction. Unless I see something along the way. But you can tell it's raining on that side of Silverado Canyon because it's all misty looking. Looks like more of it's coming our way too. I think, yeah, it's getting misty over there, so I better put the camera away, get ready to cover up again. So I'll see you at Main Divide. Well, still going up the switchbacks. Still have a little ways to go. But I'm at the switchback that I've seen pictures and in myself. Sometimes there's a rock cairn garden here. You see they put rock ducks all over the place. Last time I was here, almost 2 years ago, these were all knocked down, it looked like. But now it looks like somebody rebuilt some of them. I think they used to be more elaborate. I've seen pictures where these rock cairns are very elaborate. But I figured I'd point that out as I'm still making my climb. I'll see you at the junction of Main Divide. Well, I'm nearing the crest. I'm still on the Silverado Trail, or Silverado Motorway, as it used to be a dirt road back in the day. At least the rain and showers have temporarily ceased. So now we're in a very nice mature stand of chaparral. So the scenery up here is beautiful. Got our common chamise, Adenosoma fasciculatum, variety fasciculatum, chaparral yucca, Hespero yucca whippley. Then we got Salvia mellifera, the black sage. And we got pale silk tassel, Garrya flavescens, Eastwood manzanita, which is very common here in the Santa Anas. And this right here is Arctostaphylos glandulosa, subspecies glandulosa. Or what else we got here? Of course, we got Eriogonum fasciculatum, variety foliolosum, the California buckwheat. So we're in an area where it's not quite so fire scarred. This is actually, if you're just doing the Silverado Trail to Bedford Peak, just going there, that spot is probably one of the most scenic. And on a day like today, there are not going to be any views out to Catalina and the Inland Empire. So the views are at hand, the chaparral plants. I should be at Main Divide pretty soon. Once you get to this area, it levels out very nicely. I'm just at a very slight incline right now. But it's just a very misty, crisp mid-February morning. There's some hollyleaf redberry, Rhamnus salicifolia. It's very common here in the Santa Anas. There's another very common species here in our Santa Ana mountain range. Quercus berbertifolia, the scrub oak. Small, shrubby oak, but there are some spots where they do grow into small tree size. There are actually several tree-sized specimens of scrub oak along the Mount Wilson Trail that I hiked last week, but I couldn't get pictures of them because my camera was wet and the images were coming out all nasty. I should be at Main Divide very soon. You can tell this area's been bulldozed and stuff. This part of the fire break here. You get a lot of these here in the Santa Anas where you get these dips and mounds of dirt, especially where there are fire breaks. I guess what bulldozers do to, I guess, scrape a pathway. I'm really not sure what the mounds are for, the crazy undulations in the dirt, but they are kind of interesting. A lot of the peaks along Main Divide, like when I did Mine 2 benchmark just under a month ago, had some of those little mounds by it, and that's at that peak, which is between the KSOX Doppler and Agador Peak. Mine 2 benchmark has a fire break that meets up with it, coming down from near where the Skyline Trail in Corona starts. But you just got to go through this little flat expanse of land to pick it up. But I should be nearing the crest. Well, at least the junction with Main Divide. This is a part where we get a little, I guess, a little slight downhill action. Still a little drizzly. The more it drizzles and rains, the less I'm going to film, because I don't want to ruin this camera. Same camera I had from last time, but I just don't want to take a chance in ruining it like I did the other one. The other one I think still might work. I just haven't touched it in a week, so I didn't want to mess with it. Might still actually work, because it was starting to a little bit when I was most of the way down. It was still muddy, or not muddy, foggy. And the sad thing was, there was a period of time where I couldn't even get it to turn on. But it started turning on, but then the picture was still foggy because it was still pretty wet. So, all right, I'll see you at Main Divide. I should be there within minutes. Well, I'm here at the junction. This is the junction of Main Divide and the Silverado Trail. Just came through here. This is where I came from, right here. I recorded a clip when I got here, but the footage got shut off because my battery died. So this is where I came from, the Silverado Trail, 5S03. Came from that way, from Silverado Canyon. Now we're at the U-shaped junction of Main Divide. That's heading towards Pleasance Peak, Agador Peak, Mine 2 benchmark, Beaks Place, Skyline Trail, and Sierra Peak in the Corona area. Where I'm going is south. So that's going north, but I'm going south along Main Divide. Bedford will be my first peak. Here's an interesting find right here. It's a benchmark from 1935. It's X316. So you used to mostly seeing those at peaks, but they're not always just at peaks. This one's not. Now the drizzle's eased up. It's kind of a little bit on the misty side, but finally mellowed out. Now I'm gonna make my way towards Bedford, which will be along this way. Might be a little harder to find in the fog, but I'll keep my eyes for it. Keep my eyes open for it. I'll see you when I'm there, or at the junction to turn off the little fire break to it. So now we're getting close, but I think this one here is a false summit, I believe. I'm gonna go for it, double check, but I'm pretty sure it's the next mount. I'm gonna go over this and update. There's supposed to be a benchmark up there too. When I went to the Bedford bench, I didn't see a benchmark there. So I'm gonna go up this fire break and poke around. Yeah, just as I suspected. I knew this wasn't the one with the bench on. It's the next mound. I think it's a little further up. It's a little further up ahead. I wanted to go up on this one just to check to see if there was a survey marker or something, or a benchmark. There wasn't anything on this one, so now I definitely have my answer. So what I did is I just went up the fire break to the summit of that small peak, and I went back down, and now here's the next mound right here. think this might be the one. Pretty sure of it. I'm gonna go stop to take a picture of it because I do log my peak climbs on peakery.com. So I'm gonna take a picture of this fire break and then start climbing up it, and I'll see you at the summit. This is the one with the little broken piece right here. Well, along the second fire break, see a wooden sign here. I'm guessing this is going to be Bedford Peak. Yes, it is. I don't see any bench up here though. Okay, that's weird. This is actually it right here. A little wooden sign. I'll see a summit register. Wonder if there's going to be a bench around here. This is Bedford Peak, 3,800 feet. Then the next fire break comes up. There's another peak called Peak 3840. I believe there's a benchmark on that one. I'm trying to look around here to see if I see a benchmark. I don't see one. At least not here. Just kind of poking around to see if I can find one. But this is it. This is Bedford Peak. Whoa. This is where the high point is, right here. So, first peak of the day, Bedford Peak. On a clear sunny day, the views up here are insane. So, I've been up here once before. There wasn't a wood sign, but there was a bench. There was a bench around here. Maybe the bench is gone. Or maybe it's a little further down, but yeah, this is it. Bedford Peak, 3,800 feet. Next stop, Peak 3840, which is another similar peak along a fire break. Let's see what all this plant growth is over here. These stalks right here look like ailanthus. Yeah, these are ailanthus. Ailanthus altissima. It's a tree that's native to Asia, I believe, especially in China. They're a winter deciduous tree. They can get up to about 80 feet tall. There's a small colony of them up here. You can tell they're because they're winter. Yeah, they're very invasive though. That's why they do not suggest planting them, because they can and take over. I lived in a place in Anaheim years ago that had ailanthus, and they grow like crazy. They're neat looking trees. They got these huge pinnately compound leaves. They kind of have a weird, slightly spoiled peanut buttery smell. But the roots are very invasive. They send up these little root shoots everywhere. Not only that, they're also the roots are supposed to be pretty poisonous. So I'm gonna go get my summit selfie before I forget. I almost forgot and started going down. I'll see you at the next stop. So, I'm back down Bedford Peak. You can barely see the mound in the clouds. So I'm back at the fire break. I went down the south side of it. And now here I am with a nice little foothill ash, Fraxinus dipetala, related to the ashes used back east and in Europe for baseball bats. But these are much smaller. They're shrubs, and small shrub to small tree, maybe occasionally reaching 40 feet tall. Like the ashes back east, like they're winter deciduous. Here's another example right here. They shed their leaves in fall and leaf out in the spring. One way to tell this from the Arizona ash, which is also found here in the Santa Anas, is these have 4 angled twigs, and they're a lot shrubbier. Arizona ash has rounded twigs and are found in riparian areas generally where it's moister. These are usually found on chaparral and woodland slopes, usually on north-facing exposures like here. But it's starting to rain, so I better turn this off and keep on hiking before I get this damage. So I'll see you on the way to 3840. Well, we're already coming up on another fire break. I believe this is the one that leads you to 3840. Still very misty, drizzly, and rainy. So this fire break right here, the middle gate is completely knocked off. So I'm going to go ahead and follow this one and see if this one has a benchmark. It's supposed to be knocked over, I think. I mean, the source I read was from 2010, so I don't know, who knows. That's a long time ago. But I'm going to go ahead and climb up, wipe my camera off a little bit so I don't have that same problem I did on Mount Wilson. So I'm going to go ahead and head up and see what happens. I'll see you at the top of this one. I don't think this is it. After I lost all that elevation after Bedford, I don't think I've regained all of it. I don't think this is it. It's another summit. It certainly is. But I don't think this is 3840. I think I'd have to go a little bit higher. I don't see any evidence of any benchmark either. 3840 is supposed to have a broken benchmark. It's supposed to be like a broken piece of rock. So, I don't think this is it. This is kind of my second peak of the day because these little fire breaks keep going over these little summits. So, I guess I'll check out the next fire break and see what's up over there. Alright, onward and down and up and downward. Alright, rejoining the main divide. However, this next fire break, this tire tracks, people saw the broken fences. So this looks like this might have a little more oomph to it. So I'm going to hike up it. Let's see if this is 3840. See you at the top of this one. Well, I'm at another peak. I believe this is it. I don't see any benchmark around here. It's supposed to be a benchmark, but this one definitely had a more substantial climb than that first one after Bedford. A little ribbon tied up here. I guess I'll look around and see if I can find a summit marker. sure that one, pretty certain that that was 3840 right there. Whoa! And I got less of a dip to main thigh, thank God. Because this fire break I just came up was very muddy. Very, very muddy. So now we're back to the and there's another peak just west of where Bedford motorway joins crest. That's peak 20. So we'll see about that one. Alright, onward and upward. I'm going to be on main divide for a little while now. So that one had to have been 3840. So, and back on the road, I'm just going to keep hiking this for a while. It's still a little drizzly out. I'll wipe this off a little bit. There we go. It's a little better. But it's a pretty hike. It's hard pressed to break a sweat right now, unless you're running. I mean, it's nice and crisp up here. It's very good. But it's pretty interesting. Last time I went this way, I didn't go through all those fire breaks. I just went through the Bedford one, the one before it, and then the only other fire break I took was the one at Bald Peak. There's another fire break right here. I wonder if I should go up it and see what's happening. If I see a benchmark on this one, I'll let you know. Until then, climbing up fire breaks today, it looks like. Before I go, here's another piece of botanical wonder. We got a little grove of scrub oaks behind us, and here we got Coulter's Matiliha poppy, Rhamnia coulteri. This plant has the largest flower of any California native plant. These are the old seed capsules from last year. It sheds its leaves during the dry season and it re-leaves out around the middle of the rainy season. Maybe a little bit later when you're higher up, but they kind of form a large shrubby perennial. They can get, I think they can get up to about 10 feet tall, possibly, but they're fairly average sized for the plant. But I guess I'm going to have to climb that fire break, because if I see a benchmark up there, then I'll know that's 3840, but I don't know, this is weird. I guess today's, like I said, today's the day of climbing fire breaks. Here's more buckwheat right here. Eriogonum fasciculatum varietifoliolosum. And then here we got, again, Quercus berbertifolia, a nice little stand of them. It looks like the Forest Service probably trimmed the branches underneath them. So I can see lots of dead branches on the ground. Forest Service does sometimes come up and prune the chaparral, especially near truck trails like this. This is Main Divide right here. I'm on Main Divide before I start climbing up that. So far this hike, definitely a lot of fire break climbing to get to these summits. I'm beginning to wonder if this is actually going to be 3840, but I'm going to climb up this one and keep you posted. It looks like this might be it. There's another gate that's knocked down over here, so I'm going to climb up this one and update you very shortly. Alright, so I've climbed up this fire break. This one was a tough one. This one was a steep, slow go. This is what I was looking for. Right here. This is 3840. There's a benchmark. 571. Orange County Surveyor. This is peak 3840. So I just went up at least two more fire breaks beforehand, thinking, okay, that could be it, that could be it. This is it. This is 3840. Wow. This fire break was a pretty stiff climb, I'm not gonna lie. Well, time for a quick summit selfie. Move on back to main divide. See you along the way. Well, still trudging along main divide. Lots of ups and downs. I'm on a slight downhill. Now I'm at the junction of Bedford Motorway. It starts branching off going downhill to the left. Heard a lot of dirt bike activity over that way. So this 4S03 is the Forest Service number for Bedford Motorway. Never hiked it before, but I'm not even sure where you're supposed to park at the bottom of it. But yeah, this is Bedford Motorway right here. This will take you down to Riverside County. We might be in it right now, actually. We are kind of straddling the line between Riverside and Orange counties. It's starting to drizzle again. You'll notice I've taken off my poncho. Might have to put it back on because it's starting to get really misty and drizzly again. Fairly soon I should be crossing underneath the power lines, and that is how I know I'm pretty close to Bald Peak. Just wipe this off a little bit. So, gonna keep trudging on and upwards. Peak 3820 would be over there somewhere in the mist. It's another peak. It's not listed on Peak Bagger either. one that I saw. I was looking at Google Earth and looking at the elevation profiles. There's another peak. It's about 3,820 feet over yonder. But I've only seen one other person today on a mountain bike. That's all I've seen today. I heard motorbikes, dirt bikes off in the distance, but haven't seen any here on Main Divide. So that's kind of weird. But I'm gonna keep on trudging. I'll let you know when I'm ready for Bald Peak. Well, just past the power lines that crisscross over Main Divide Road. So that means I should be coming up on the fire break for Bald Peak fairly soon. As for now, just walking up Main Divide. It's up and down, up and down, as it follows the rolling ridge of the Santa Ana Mountains. It's a very nice scrub oak right here, Quercus berbertifolia. Very nice specimen of it. But I just wanted to point out that you're going to cross under those wires that crisscross the Santa Anas, go up from, I believe they come up from Silverado Canyon, and go down towards the Inland Empire. But it's starting to get a lot foggier and mistier again, so I will see you at the junction for Bald Peak. Well, here I'm Main Divide Road. I believe this is the fire break for Bald Peak. I believe it's going to be up this way. But before I get there, hollyleaf cherry, Prunus ilicifolia, subspecies ilicifolia. Fairly common here in the Santa Anas. I got more foothill ash, Fraxinus dipetala, still in its winter dormant state. And we got pale silk tassel, Garrya flavescens, very common. Which is even more common, Quercus berbertifolia, scrub oak. And also extremely common, probably the most common shrub here in the Santa Anas, Adenostoma fasciculatum, verdifasciculatum. That is the chamise. So now, to reach Bald Peak, I'm going to have to climb up this steep fire break. I don't remember it being so open the last time. The last time I was here was in December of 2016. But it looks like a lot of brush has been cleared. So, here I go again. Time to climb another fire break. This is probably my 6th today so far. This will be my 6th fire break climb of the day. So I'm just gonna climb up this. Not much to see here. Just a lot of dead branches and a wide path getting up there. So I'm gonna focus on climbing, and I'll see you at the top. If this is Bald Peak, I'm pretty sure this is Bald Peak right here, because I know viewing this area from other directions, the road starts going downhill as it cuts around the west slope of Bald Peak, and it looks like it's going to start going downhill. So I'll see you at the top of this. I'm pretty sure this is it. See you at the top. Here I am, Bald Peak. Looks like everything got churned up from when they built this fire break. wasn't this churned up when I came up here the first time back in December 2016. My sign got knocked over. Summit registers there. It's a little surveyor. There was actually another one that said bald on it. I think it might be under this rubble. This is it, Bald Peak, 3,947 feet. I think I'm gonna get one of my Powerades and see if it's melted enough for me to start taking some sips. Looking towards Lost Woman and Silverado canyons. The sun's out and it's clearing up over there. Some breaks in the cloud cover. Got a few peaks of sun here and there on my way up here, but nothing lasted more than 5 seconds. But yeah, I can see everything's looking pretty broken up over there. I'm wondering if we're going to catch a break from all the mist and drizzle. But yeah, this fire break's been renewed. I can see Maple Springs Trail down there before it starts switchbacking up the mountain, and then I can see the switchbacks. That's going to be my descent route after I hit up how many ever I hit up. But I know once I get back to the main divide, I'm going to follow the south fire break here, Bald, and then I'm going to be climbing up. There are 2 peaks here. Let's see. I wrote down the approximate elevations on a piece of paper. Let me just try to see if I can get it to open up without blocking the views here. Let's see. So far today, I've done Bedford 3840. I did not do 3820. It would have been a really quick scramble up another fire break, but it's whatever. Then right now I'm at Bald Peak. The next peak is approximately 4,120 feet, and there's one behind it that's about 4,260 feet. It's going to be up this way. And then there's another one that's 4,380 feet. Let's see how many of those I actually decide to go for as I make my way towards Majeska. Well, I'm about to lose battery, so I will check in later on for more updates. Well, I'm at the base of yet another fire break. This one, I believe, is the one to 4120. This is the one immediately after Bald Peak. And like with Bald Peak, there's a lot of dead wood. In other words, from all the branches, the chaparral branches they broke off, clearing these fire breaks. So, time for my next fire break. This will be my 7th of the day. Oh goody. See you at the top of this one. Well, I've decided to forego climbing this fire break. It's way too muddy. Get that. Oh, forget that one. I was going to try to climb up to 4120 that way. But, well, I think the fire break should go to the other side. Might take another stab at it from the opposite side, but that's just not going to happen. Way too muddy. It's a lot looser than the scree going up to Bald Peak. So forget that. Couldn't get good footholds. It had become more of a technical climb. So I guess I'm just gonna head up to the saddle between 4120 and 4260 and make a judgment call. See you there. Well, about the south end of that fire break now. This looks a little gentler and easier footing so far. So I'm just going to follow this up to the top of this little bit here. I think this might be 4120. Really not much prominence, but it's still higher. Still higher ground than over there by a little bit. Just a little tiny bit. So I'm going to go ahead and climb up to the top of this. Fortunately, I can't see Bald Peak any longer for reference. But I've been steadily climbing since Bald Peak. So let's see. Let's see what happens when I get to the top of this one. Much easier scramble from this direction. Sometimes you gotta hike smart instead of hike hard. Not that today's hike's been easy, any stretch of the imagination. This is a strenuous hike. Lots of climbing. All right. So let's see. Just about there. Much easier from this end. So I don't mind backtracking a little bit. Let's see. I think that's 4260. All right. Top of this one. Yeah, I believe this is 4120. There's Bald Peak right there. Well, my camera's about to give out, so I changed batteries again. Then it's time for 4260. And I'm probably gonna do the fire break on the opposite side again. Oh, starting to get views towards Majestic Peak. Right off over yonder. That's it right there with the snow on it. A little harder to see. Hey, X marks the spot. So I'm going up this fire break, the south fire break. Oh, this is an easy fire break. They're usually not this easy. So I'm liking this. I'm digging this. Yes, I'm walking a little extra distance, but I don't care. I'm just glad I'm making it up. I see a little beacon on top of this one. And a little fence. So let's see. Feel like a neat peak to do it on. See Temescal Valley very clearly. Fortunately, you can see the fire scars of the holy fire. So this is the closest I've been to it since it happened last year. You can see how much of it's been denuded. But to see some rays of hope though, looking at some of the trees in those canyons there, not sure exactly what canyon that is. I don't think it's not Coldwater, because Coldwater is closer to Santiago, but I could see some of the big cone Douglas firs survived. I could see some survivors down there. I had no idea what to expect. I mean, well, I was expecting everything to be burnt to a crisp, and most of it is, but I do see some conifers that survived. I'm extremely happy about that. I'm gonna say it makes me very happy to see that some of those big cone Douglas firs survived. So I'm very happy about that. I can see some of those coniferous trees survived. Very happy to see that. And yes, I see a memorial up ahead behind this little fence. So this is peak 4260, confirmed. The peak's elevation is about 4,260 feet. There's a little memorial up here to the firefighters. Not firefighters, the soldiers. Something about September 1990 something. I think it was 1995. So, this is peak 4260. And that was my 8th fire break of the day. Albeit, it's going a lot more smoothly. Going up the south slope is a lot easier and more gradual. But it doesn't look like it would have been too bad coming up from the north fire break. That's where I just was. That's peak 4120. So finally made it up to these two peaks. I've been thinking about them for a while. It's kind of neat to get up here, I gotta say. Wondering when I would make it up here. Well, today was the day. Now my next peak might be 4380. I think that one in the middle there with the fire break might be 4380. I'm going to take a slide over there. I didn't know if I was going to try to climb it today, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and make an attempt at it after I get my summit selfie and everything up here. Cool little peak. It doesn't have a huge amount of prominence, especially on this side, because it's not that far above its connector ridge, but it's a really easy walk up here. If you're coming from Silverado Canyon, you might want to take the back door approach. Go around the mountain and then go up the south fire break. That's what I did over there. I tried to go up the north fire break of that one, 4120, and it just was not happening. I kept slipping in the mud. But then I went up that fire break there on the south side of it, and it was a piece of cake. It was almost a walk in the park. I probably could have come up from this north one here, but probably would be really loose. But when I came up this side, this fire break on this side, it's not even really scree, it's just dirt and pebbles. Piece of cake walk if you come up the south side of this fire break. So, as for what the heck this is, I don't know. It's just a random fence with some circa carpus and buckwheat inside of it. There's another one of these beacons. I've seen a couple of these. There's one of these before you get to Bedford Peak, when you're still climbing up Silverado. But yeah, that's looking over towards Majestica and Santiago. It's hard to tell which is which right now because the fog is still scraping the top of the mountain, so it does make it kind of hard to tell. But trying to think if I'm really going to make it all the way up. I'm going to make a good faith effort, and I'm going to decide when I get to Maple Springs Point. If I get to Maple Springs Point, then that'll give me a better idea of whether I want to continue to at least Majestica. I would like to do Santiago, but I'm also trying to maybe ease up just a little bit today. I've been doing a lot of hiking lately. This is my 5th week straight being out here on the trail. So, I mean, I'm really finally getting the time to be able to do this because my work schedule is allowing me the opportunity. So I'm very grateful for that, and that's why I'm making up for lots of lost time when I go weeks, sometimes even a month and a half without hiking, and it's not fun. But now I'm going to take a couple of pictures from here, and then I'm going to start making my hike towards, I believe that's 4380. I think that's the next peak up ahead. There's another fire break. It looks like it'd be a pretty quick shot right off of Main Divide, so I'll see what happens there. Might still end up going for 4380. I was kind of unsure about that, but I think I might go for it. Well, I'm gonna get ready to head off of this summit and see what other adventures await me today. So right now, I'm still making that beeline towards 4380. I believe that's it right there in the fog. That looks like could be 4380. I mean, I wouldn't recognize it because I'm plotting these peaks on Google Earth, the ones that even peakbagger.com doesn't recognize or use. So I like to look up my own peaks. Because like, hey, someone's just gonna look at that thing. Oh, it's a hill, whatever. But I look at it as another peak that I could visit the summit of. So I'm getting ready to make the climb up that. There's a berm over here, but the scenery on this side is pretty lush. The chaparral's thick, and there are pockets of probably canyon live oak woodland. Oops. See if maybe when I get down to the base of this, and there's some big cone Douglas firs down the ridge from here. So this is quite a scene here. But unfortunately, I didn't whip out the camera soon enough, and I'm not walking back up. I got enough uphill ahead of me, so I am going to focus on just getting where I need to go. Alright, step around this big puddle. I guess you'll just have to take my word for it now, unless I get a better vantage point. As soon as I took out the camera, as I kept walking, there's a on the side of the road, so fortunately I didn't get footage of it. Well, I think I got a picture of it, but I didn't get any video of it. It's beautiful down there. It's lush. So maybe that'll be too soon for 4380. I don't know. I'm thinking that might be it, but I've been going downhill for a while, so probably like closer to 4100 feet by now. But getting much closer to the Holy Fire burn perimeter. Over here it's more like a mosaic and patchwork because it's closer to the edge of the fire, so it might have been when it was fizzling out. But as I keep looking over towards that ridge line leading up towards Santiago, it's looking like, definitely looks like some of those coniferous trees survived. I'm still kind of bugging about that, because when I heard about the Holy Fire, I was heartbroken, because I love Trabuco Canyon. I've never done video of Trabuco. I haven't hiked in Trabuco for a few years, but very beautiful canyon. It's even lusher than Silverado Canyon. I've done video for that, taking pictures of it. But Silverado Canyon is quite a knockout too. I ain't gonna lie. It's beautiful over there. Looks like, yeah, the Holy Fire definitely burnt all the way down way down towards Temescal Valley and Lake Elsinore. And that was in August of this past year. So, but I'm sure those oaks and chaparral shrubs will resprout. That's what they do. And the fact that we're having a decent rainy season on top of everything is not hurting. So let's be thankful for that. Well, I'm gonna go find myself to 4380. I don't believe that's it actually now, because back there is higher than where I am now. But it might be behind it, so I'll probably get a better visual as I continue climbing. And I will see you along the way for more Santa Ana mountain awesomeness. I told you looking down at the canyon was going to bring a lot of beautiful scenery. Well, now I don't have a big berm standing in my way. I think this is Lost Woman Canyon, I believe. I believe this is Lost Woman Canyon. It's a tributary of Silverado. And all those big cone Douglas firs. All those beautiful big cone Douglas firs down there. Love it. And I'm feeling sprinkles again. But the air is just so fresh. The sun was just out not even a minute ago. But look at how incredibly beautiful it is down there. It's incredible. Lost Woman Canyon. And on the other side there's some coulter pines. I've hiked up along that, which is Maple Springs Trail. Hiked along that too. And incredibly beautiful here. Those nice, lush, big cone Douglas firs. That is so cool. Those are Pseudosuga macrocarpa. And with their name implies they are a Douglas fir. They are a type of Douglas fir. They're not the same species as the Pacific Douglas fir, which is Pseudosuga menziesii, and which is divided up into variety menziesii for the central and northern Sierras and the Pacific Coast ranges, western Washington, western Oregon, British Columbia, and then variety latifolia is the Rocky Mountain Douglas fir, which is eastern half of BC, Oregon, Washington, and the interior Southwest. Our big cone Douglas firs are, I would say, more akin in shape and size to the Rocky Mountain Douglas firs. I've never seen a Rocky Mountain Douglas fir besides in pictures. And of course, Pacific Douglas firs are much larger trees than the Rocky Mountain or big cone Douglas firs. Our big cones can get pretty decent size. That's over by Big Cone. That's over by Big Cone Spring down there. I've hiked and shot a lot of photographs over. There's like a little spur coming from there. That's where there's some pretty decent sized ones. Not quite 100 feet, but there's some decent sized Big Cone Douglas firs down there. On the Mount Wilson Trail I hiked last week. So disappointed I couldn't get any photos of it, but there were some huge big cone Douglas firs, like 120 feet tall. That's huge for a big cone Douglas fir. And now we're starting to get into canyon live oak, Quercus chrysolipus. Yeah, this is canyon live oak right here, and we're going to see a lot more of it for the rest of the hike probably. And we got Toyon heteromeles arbudifolia. You much more commonly see Toyon with the coast live oak, which if you do a lot of hiking in the lowlands here in Southern California, you'll see wherever there are coast live oaks, you can almost be sure that Toyons are not far behind. Here's another pale silk tassel. Silk tassel meaning these little tassels right here that hang from the branches where the seed capsules develop. This is Garrya flavescens. Again, I've seen quite a few specimens of that along here on Main Divide Road and here in the Santa Ana Mountains. But in these higher elevations, we're definitely considerably above 4,000 feet. There are a lot more canyon live oaks, you know. I mean, I've seen them below 2,000 feet on occasion in some places, but here in the Santa Ana, they tend to favor more of the higher elevations of the mountain range. Because all in all, this is a fairly low mountain range. Santiago Majesca are the only two summits in the range that are above a mile high. So Santiago's almost 5,700 feet and Majesca's almost 5,500 feet. Very close to 5,500 feet, actually. But yeah, I think I might have missed 4380. I'm just too busy caught up. Peak 4380. And I believe it's up here. I'm not worried about it. I'm sure when I come back here again, and I will, because I really love this place, I'll go find a fire break and climb up to the summit of that one. And also, what I saw a lot of last week, much larger specimens thereof, Umbellularia californica, the California laurel, California bay laurel, California bay. In Oregon, they call it Oregon myrtle. That's how they market the wood. And the leaves are very pungent. Very, very pungent. In fact, if you're hiking under a grove of them, you could potentially get a headache from being around them for a long time. But it's a very clean smell. It's just, you gotta breathe it in slowly. Don't gulp the air in. You might get overwhelmed. And it can be used in a culinary manner. People do use it for spices, but you don't want to use more than probably a third to half of what you would for traditional Laurus nobilis, which is the traditional bay laurel, the Grecian laurel. You got some interior live oak. I've been seeing specimens of this periodically. This is the shrubby variety, the variety that is much more common in Southern California. That's Quercus wislizeni variety for Tessins. Variety wislizeni, the more arborescent tree form of interior live oak, I have seen on a very, very, very limited basis here. I've seen a couple tree-sized Quercus wislizeni along Main Divide. I think it's burnt now because I think it was in the path of the fire. But after you get past the huge hairpin turn on Main Divide, coming from the opposite side of Santiago, that's where you come across it. But it probably got burnt by now. So I don't know what the status is, and that part of Main Divide's closed. And we are now entering a portion of the burn zone. So coming up now is where the holy fire looks like it went over or went around Santiago and Majestica Peaks, and you can see the burnt side of Santiago right there. Looks pretty rough. It's pretty bad, pretty badly burnt. I'm sure that area will recover. It was mostly canyon live oak on that side, and they are vigorous resprouters. They are vigorous resprouters, so I wouldn't be too worried. But here we are. We have now entered, just went through the perimeter of the holy fire. It just barely kissed the ridge here. So basically what it did is it went up Trabuco Canyon. I think parts of Holy Jim Canyon might have been spared. I think the lower Holy Jim Trail might have been spared. I can't say for sure because I haven't been there, and you can't really go there unless you work for the Forest Service to handle business there. But I mean, basically I think most of lower Holy Jim Canyon might have been spared. Upper Holy Jim, Trabuco Canyon, those canyons were completely toasted. Well, I guess what happened is it seemed to probably go around Santiago and Majestica, and maybe it seemed to go along there and then come back up the ridge here, because fire tends to move in an uphill fashion, and then it basically kissed the ridge right here. If you go to this side of the ridge, it's pretty much status quo, but over here it's not. It's burnt. So definitely something worth paying attention to. Fires can do crazy things. See, the top of this little berm right here got burnt, and you can see some of the brown twigs on these oaks over there. You can tell that they might have gotten very lightly singed. But looking down this way towards these big cone Douglas firs right here, it just didn't make it that far down. So hikers who love forest and conifer forest, be thankful that Silverado Canyon didn't get burnt. See, we have a piece of a big cone Douglas fir right here. The top of it burnt. However, the branches on the right side of it are still alive for the most part. So you can see how crazy these fires can behave. So, and then down here they're unscathed basically. See, these guys were partially burnt. You can see most of the tissue still alive, but there's some browning on the outside. Down there's basically unscathed. So it's crazy what fire can do and how fire can behave, especially with hilly terrain like this. Lots of ups and downs. One little gap could leave room for a fire to go through a gully and get up to the ridge line. And this looks like that might have been what happened here. Well, I'm gonna go make my way to Maple Springs Point, And I want to go see what beautiful stuff is up there. I've never been to the actual summit of it. Been by it, near it, but never on it. So I want to go see what's popping over there. Oh boy. Might be time for me to put on the rain poncho again. Yeah, I might have to put on the poncho pretty soon. It's starting to snow right now. I might have to put the poncho back on. Have it buried in my backpack. So, might have to dig out the poncho again. Get closer to Maple Springs Point. Yeah, I might have to put the poncho back on pretty soon because it's starting to snow. So, oh boy, I don't want to get wet. But one thing about this hike, up and down, up and down. But this hair's starting to get damp again. What a beautiful canyon this is. I gotta wipe my camera off a little bit there. A couple of flakes of snow melted on it. But I got the coulter pines, the ones that survived the conflagration. Thank God for that. So, yeah, we're getting closer to the flanks of Majeska. And again, once again, all the crazy burn patterns of the holy fire are again in evidence. But I think I see some limited resprouting. Thought I saw a few little shoots coming up from some of the shrubs, which is very good news. It's very good news. I'm liking that. Oh, this air feels so good. It's so nice and crisp. Couldn't have asked for better temperatures. I know I got wet, a little damp today, but I mean, right now, the snow's not that heavy. It's very light snow falling right now. So it's not really getting me too wet. But if it gets any heavier, I might have to put the poncho on. What a beautiful day up here. It sucks looking at all the destruction, but you get a good lesson in fire ecology if you poke around here. And of course you get to see the canyon live oaks. This side of the ridge, just the very outside of them got a little crisped. But alright, onward and upward. Next up, Maple Springs. Hopefully Maple Springs Point. Now we're starting to get closer to Maple Springs Saddle, entering a most lovely area. More foothill ash, Fraxon stipitala, of course, poison oak, Toxicodendron diversilobum, the one plant you don't want to mess with. We got Frangula californica, coffee berry, coulter pines, Pinus coulteri. Oh, look at this vigorous canyon live oak right here, Quercus chrysolipus. So, And an interior live oak, Quercus wooslezeni, variety for Tessins. So we're a nice little enclave right here. More pale silk tassel, Area flavescens. Sure is a beautiful hike today. Oh, and here we go. A couple more months. Wait till you see this in bloom. Ceanothus leucodermis, chaparral whitethorn. Has some of the most exuberant blossoms of any of our native shrubs. Halogen blue, almost like an electric blue. So beautiful. It is so beautiful. We got more Octostaphylos glandulosa. It's just so awesome over here. Snow's blowing in my ear. So I got just maybe at least it's behind me, so it shouldn't get too wet. But should be getting to Maple Springs Saddle pretty soon. Such a peaceful day up here. I've only seen one other person. Still, only one other person up here. So, really glad. It's been a very mellow experience. There you go. Except for the rigorous climbing here and there. Right now, we're along a relatively flat stretch of Main Divide right here. But sure turning out to be an awesome day. But again, I might have to break out the poncho. It's still, well, kind of mellowing out again. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little more intense towards Santiago Majestica Peak summits. Up here, it's just some flurries and stuff like that. But just enjoying the beautiful chaparral on a glorious day. More Frangula californica. Let's see what subspecies we're looking at here. Can't tell. I'm not sure if this is subspecies. I think this is subspecies California. No, it might be subspecies Tomentella, but there's another subspecies Cuspidata. And I really have a hard time telling those apart. I'll have to read up on them. I know somebody had mentioned the differences between the hairs on the leaves. The glabrous ones, basically the hairless ones, are subspecies Californica, but the ones with hairs are Tomentella and Cuspidata. I think that one might have been a Tomentella or a Cuspidata. I don't think that was a subspecies Californica because the leaves weren't glabrous. I just need to zone in or zoom in on that and figure it out, so I could be more knowledgeable. I like to know things. I like to learn things. And it looks like we're at the junction of Maple Springs Saddle. This is going towards Maple Springs Truck Trail. So I'm here at Maple Springs Saddle. So a nice chunk of the hiking is behind me. But still got a little ways to go, especially if I want to climb Majestica. Sure is a beautiful day up here. So I'll check in later with more updates and finds and my next plan. Alright, so I'm going to stop and take a little rest here at Maple Springs Saddle. This is 5S04. This is Maple Springs Truck Trail. It's getting very windy right now, so there's a decent little wind chill in the air. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to throw on the jacket, and yeah, Ugh, wipe the camera off. Snowflakes keep melting on it. Interesting day. I wanted to get out here. Sometimes you'll do what you got to do to get out to the mountains. But yeah, back that way. What I did is I came up Main Divide, and I made a right turn. And this is Maple Springs Saddle, and this is 5S04. So we're at Maple Springs Saddle. Maple Springs Point should be up that way, but it might be kind of hard to find in the fog and the snow. The snow and the mist and everything kind of cluttering up the view, but I will get ready to make a move towards it in a few minutes. Now, it's time to take a break. Basically, try to go directly by the gate, climb up the fire break. I didn't see it. Thinking this might be it. I'm going to give it the old college try. See if this will get me to summit Maple Point. Sure doesn't look like it. But get a nice lesson in chaparral shrubs. Ceanothus crassifolius, variety crassifolius. Horrely ceanothus. Yeah, I don't think this is it. I don't think this is a fire break. Wow. The problem is, there's really not a clear line of sight around here. And I'm not trying to push back through poison oak. I usually leave the cross-country hiking for higher elevations, where I don't have to worry so much about that plant. But I'm not seeing a clear route. So I guess I'm going to go back over this berm. I'm going to go back where I came from. Because when I looked at it from Google, it looked like there was a clear, at least some kind of a clear line of sight to get there. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be it. I don't think so. I'm going to try to avoid that, hop over this. I went under it the first time. Alright. I think I'm going to nix go into Santiago Majestic today. I think that's it. I'm going to look around for another minute or two to see if I can find what looks like a fire break going up to Maple Springs Point. So I do want to hit that one. It's getting pretty crazy out here. It's getting really windy. See if I can find the fire break though. I am kind of curious about hitting up Maple Springs Point, but I don't really see a route to get up there. Here, wipe the camera off. I did make it to a few other peaks that I've never been to before, and a couple of peaks I have been to before. But I am really curious about Maple Springs Point. I'm gonna probably end up leaving it as an attempt for today. I think if the skies were clearer, I might have an easier time. Maybe I should have studied the map a little bit more closely. But oh well. I guess maybe do it when the visibility is not so poor, as the clouds have really come in really hard. It's just completely socked in with overcast. I'm gonna go back up to here. I'm actually gonna still debate. I'm still debating whether to make a run at Majestic. I am kind of curious. Kind of would like to make a run at that, but I'm gonna take a little rest to figure this out. One thing I do want to point out while coming here to Maple Springs along the truck trail, you're going to see a lot of Arizona cypress saplings. Here they are. They must have had quite a few mature trees planted here prior to, I believe it was 2007 when there was a major fire here. And now you got a bunch of Arizona cypress saplings everywhere. Look at that. So they are fire dependent for regeneration to get their cones to open. But see all this mangled mess in between the saplings? That was an Arizona cypress tree that was mature, that had cones. And obviously there were must have been multiple adult Arizona cypress trees up here, because there's another one here. This is an adult, and this one I've passed by this tree at least 2 other times before, and this tree is always loaded with cones. Look at these nice lush saplings right here. I have some growing at home myself. I ordered the seeds online on Amazon.com. Yeah, believe it or not. Ordered Arizona cypress seeds online, and I soaked them in, what I did is I put extremely hot water, not boiling, but extremely hot water, immersed the seeds in there, wait till it, cool down naturally, and then left them soaking for a day or 2. Then I put the seeds in stratification for roughly a month and 3/4, and they were starting to sprout roots, so I put them in the soil, and I got a bunch of Arizona cypress seedlings, much smaller than those. This is back in 2017 when they germinated. Mine are probably, I would say they were closer to the size. Trying to find one that's close at hand, that's really small without having to up a berm here. Some of them are close to the size of this one, but they don't have the adult leaves yet. They have the juvenile prickly needles as opposed to the adult scale needles. Now this year I've had a few of them die out on me, but I had a bunch of them sprout, and I still have a bunch of healthy young cypress seedlings. Always been fascinated by cypress trees. They're round, they're little globular cones. Here we go right here. Yeah, this tree is loaded with cones. Really give it some pretty neat ornamental value. I mean, mostly these trees are planted for reforestation and windbreaks, but I like their glaucous, their bluish grayish green foliage. I've always been really attracted to that. I always thought it was really cool. So this is Hesperus arizonica, the Arizona cypress. And after the fire came through, countless saplings have popped up, and they seem to be doing pretty well. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start heading back down right now. I'm going to save Maple Springs for another climb, and I'm going to save Santiago Majestica hopefully for another climb as well. Kind of want to start heading back. I mean, I've climbed over a bunch of summits today, so I cannot say today was a failure. Plus, just want to get down before it starts raining like crazy. It might rain more so this afternoon down in the lower elevations. But up here it's just windy, cloudy, snow flurries. Yeah, the snow hitting my face actually kind of stings a little bit. It's hitting me really hard. Could be grapple, which is a wintry form of precipitation, where it's like small ice pellets. So I think I'm gonna start making my descent. Might have to pull out the poncho soon. But wow, this is snow. It's just beautiful, beautiful to see this here in Orange County, California. In case you, I can wipe this off a little bit. In case you haven't noticed, this is Orange County, California. Same place where Laguna Beach, the Anaheim Angels play. Orange County, just higher up. I do highly recommend taking this hike. Just going to start making my way back down. Pretty day though. There's a nice foothill ash right here. So I think I'm going to start heading back down. Back to the car. I got a nice little winter weather experience today, so can't complain about that. Why the heck am I going back to Main Divide? Don't know why I'm going back to Main Divide. Okay, well, why the heck am I doing that? Should be going down that way. Okay. Well, beautiful look at Maple Springs. The camera's starting to get a little damp. I probably won't film too much on the way down, except when I get to the big cone Douglas fir groves that are popping out along it. But I'm looking over towards Majeska. Can't even see jack squat from there. Honestly, I don't feel like bushwhacking on the use trails today. I mean, it's not severe bushwhacking, but the use trails leading to Majeska and Santiago kind of tight knit with a lot of chaparral whitethorn. So yeah, I am gonna bail on that today. I mean, honestly, I could probably make it if I really felt like it, but I think I'm gonna start hitting instead of in the dark like I usually like to see. First time I went down was in the dark. Very shady. It's hard to see. I'm going to start my descent. So that means probably soon I'm going to have to put the poncho on because of the rain while I lose elevation. You can see in my head, probably feels like there's ice, little bits of ice on there. It's not freezing. The temperatures are above freezing. That I can tell you. Actually, the snowflakes are flying so hard they're actually kind of creating a stinging sensation on my face. I think it's time to take a dip back down. I will probably see you by the big cone Douglas firs. I will see you down the way. Well, I'll say I've been down this way a few times. This will be, I think, actually my third time. I always pass this pine along the way down. Thought it was a knobcone pine. This is not a knobcone pine. Right here we got a coulter pine to the left, but here to the right is a Monterey pine. Pinus radiata radiata. This is a Monterey pine. And I've seen them around Blue Jay Campground too. We got both knobcone and Monterey pines around Blue Jay Campground. So I think that area was spared from the holy fire. But yeah, this is actually a Monterey pine. In fact, the growth characteristics of this tree are much more suggestive of Monterey pine as opposed to knobcone pine, which are a lot more stiffly upright. Monterey pines kind of have a little bit more of a lax branching pattern. They're not so stiffly upright. But yeah, that's a Monterey pine, native to the Central California coast, and sometimes planted up here in the Santa Anas. So it's a California native tree, it's just not native here. But it is a beautiful tree. The thing is, I'm surprised it's doing so well, because usually if you grow the trees away from the coast, they end up getting some kind of fungus and end up not doing so well. But I'm just enjoying a leisurely saunter downhill down Maple Springs Truck Trail. It's just nice, weather's cool, kind of running the gamut between grapple, sleet, and drizzle. So we're kind of in the wintry mix territory. So I would say probably within a few minutes I'm going to be in the rain and drizzle for the rest of my hike. So I'm hoping I could beat the next round of craziness. But I gotta say, I just feel so peaceful right now, being surrounded by these beautiful canyon live oaks. I thought I saw a rented bird hopping into the shrubbery over here. I've actually been lucky. The last couple hikes, I've actually been able to see rented birds. Those birds are small, kind of stout. Kind of look like that. That's not a rented though. They don't have as much decoration on their wings. Kind of look like a sparrow. I couldn't get a good look at it. But the rented birds are usually very hard to see. They are not hard to hear. You'll hear rented birds all the time. If you're hiking below 7,000 feet, usually below 6,000 feet, but I've heard them up near Pacifico Mountain, up above 6,000 feet as well. But I have seen a couple of them actually hopping along the trail. See, they're very sedentary birds. It's Camaya fasciata. That's the scientific name. They're usually pretty sedentary, and they're usually hanging out in the bushes because they hop from bush to bush, and then they make a whistling sound that's akin to a ping pong. I'm going to try to whistle it out. Let's see if I can do it well. That's what it sounds like. I was able to actually whistle it out pretty well. But, and sometimes you'll hear, sometimes you'll hear that too. That's the male doing the ping pong ball call. They are the ones that you'll hear in the chaparral all the time. But now look at this. Now we're coming down to the coulter pines, Pinus coulteri. Another part of the hike I love about Maple Springs. Let me go wipe this off a little bit. But yeah, it's still snowing right now. It's changed back to snow, and kind of going at a decent clip. It's a little mellow snow shower. I wouldn't say we're looking at a lake effect snow blizzard. People probably, if anybody watches this video from Buffalo, New York, or Syracuse, probably looking at this thinking this ain't nothing. But considering the fact this is Orange County, California, the southwestern part of the state, just north of San Diego, just south of LA. It's not every day that you see snow falling here. It usually does every winter. I need to wipe this off again. Usually does, at least on Santiago Majestica, above 5,000 feet. Right now, we're probably about 4,300 feet right now. So we're losing some elevation. It's a very gentle incline here, Maple Springs. But it sure is a beautiful place. Oh, the water's dripping off the pines. Watch my head. I'm going to have to put the poncho on soon, because it is getting quite wet. Sure is beautiful up here, though. A lot of people don't like hiking fire roads. I love hiking this one because of the scenery. Pretty soon we're going to be dipping down in a Big Cone Douglas fir territory. Well, there's some there off in the cut, right off on the right there, right in the trail. Those are big cones down there. But it's so beautiful up here. Here's an older coulter pine whose top got burnt off. It's just okay, now the weather is changing again. Now I'm getting sleeted on. Let me try to dry this off a little bit here. You can probably hear all the stuff bouncing off of my poncho. I am now in poncho mode because I'm getting sleet and getting sleeted on right now. Sleet and big fat snowflakes. Actually, it's a heavy sleet shower. Yeah, beautiful coulter pine. But now I'm getting sleeted on. This is not hail, this is sleet. And it's falling very heavily right now. This has been one day for the record books, as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, you can probably hear the crinkling of my poncho because it's all bouncing off of it, and even raindrops make a loud crinkling sound, but yeah. Yeah, and now keep getting little small squalls of winter weather. So, what an interesting day. I cannot lie. Try to dry this off just a little bit without blocking the view. There. This has been a super interesting day. So yeah, this is the fire area from the Silverado Canyon fire. I believe this was 2006 or 2007. And this area got pretty burnt. You can see some of the coulter pines did survive, like that tree back there. There are still some stately coulter pines around here. There are some areas where there are a lot of saplings. That's a good sign, because they are regenerating very well. Like down here, this was never a dense forest here, but I was never here before then, but looking at pictures from previous years when the snags were still standing, there were lots of coulter pines, but it was never like a dense forest. Well, it's starting to get wet. I don't want to ruin another camera. I'm gonna go shut down for a while, and I'll catch up with you with the Big Cone Douglas firs. There's a nice one right down there. So I'm making my way down Maple Springs Trail, passing by the leftover mature coulter pines, and it was raining for a while, but now the snow levels come down just a little bit. It's snowing again right now. to see snowflakes hitting my jacket. So it looks like the snow level is lowering a little bit right now. So it's kind of cool. Get a little more snow action. The other thing is seeing these beautiful coulter pines. That's always something I always enjoy. So, get treated in a lot of different ways today. All because I got myself out of bed early this morning and just went for it. Got the poncho and the cooler weather gear and headed for the mountains. But it's just a beautiful day. A day is what you make of it. I'm making this out to be a beautiful day. It is. Some experiences I'll never forget. Beautiful canyon live oaks, coulter pines, some new peaks. I hit up some new peaks today. All in all, positive day. Positive day. Now, time to keep on down the road. I'm getting closer to the 4,000 foot level, so I'll be below it pretty soon, if not by now. Well, I've been coming down for quite a while. Still getting snowed on. Close to... Oh, we're going down. Look at this big leaf maple. I've seen this tree before. Beautiful maple tree right here. Acer macrophyllum. Big leaf maple. Very common in spots. Especially in mid-elevation canyons. And then we got white alder right here on this rhombifolia. So there must be a spring source here. This might be the Maple Spring area. But it's moist enough for white alders and a nice beautiful California bay laurel right here. And we got some more big leaf maples right here. And then pretty soon when I wind around the switchbacks, not that much longer, I'm going to be in big cone Douglas fir territory. Looking forward to that. Here's a little white alder right here. And here's a California sycamore, Platanus racemosa. So we're definitely below 4,000 feet now. We've been coming down for quite a while. I can hear water rushing through there. This is just absolutely beautiful. This is a beautiful sycamore tree. It's a common native lowland tree. And again, here we got California bay laurel, white alder. Still got lots of canyon live oak. Yeah, this is a very special place for sure. Oh, and yeah, not to mention, here's a young big cone Douglas fir right here, Pseudotsuga macrocarpa. Beautiful place. Now I gotta see if I can get a few pictures of it. Well, you know it's video time when you come up to big cone Douglas firs. You know me, watch enough of my videos. You know I love these trees a lot. And here we are entering some big cone Douglas fir territory. Some decent sized ones too. These are not lacking either. But that's heading down, I think, towards the spur. Below big cone. But we got, look at these. We got a nice coulter pine up there too. That's a very nice sized coulter pine. Probably about 70 feet tall, which is pretty decent for a coulter pine. We got some nice stuff here. Beautiful. Look at these big cone Douglas firs. Again, this is Pseudotsuga macrocarpa. Pretty common here in Upper Silverado Canyon. I think, yeah, there's even some coulter pines down there. It's very lush here. Incredibly beautiful. This is another reason why I come here to hike. I love my big cone Douglas firs. I love my conifers. If you watch enough of my videos, you'll know I'm very passionate about these trees. I think they're incredibly beautiful. So photogenic. Look at this one here. Nice. Just so beautiful here. And a lot of big leaf maple around here too. You'll see a lot of leafless winter deciduous trees here. Those are the big leaf maples that are in their dormant state. But this is one of my favorite spots in the Santa Ana Mountains. No wonder why. Very lush here. I am going to go snap a picture, or a few pictures of this. This is special to me. It's just beautiful here. Look at that. Beautiful forest here. And time to get a few pictures before my batteries die out again.